Hello everyone, and welcome to Ibi Speaks. My name is Ibi Enebi, and today we have um, a special guest here today. My baby Laura Enebi is my special guest. But then let me just quickly say this. So throughout the month, this month, we're honoring fathers and mother fathers, and by mother fathers I mean mothers who have stepped up to play the role of fathers in their children's lives. And today's episode is the concluding part of this series, and we'll be talking about how fathers are their daughters' best friends. And to give perspective to this conversation is my special guest, my baby Laura Enebi. Sorry for embarrassing you. And I hope that at the end of this conversation, that the experiences and insights shared by Laura would serve as streetlights and survival kits for anyone who's listening. And just a quick one now. Let me see. Da 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 da. And so thank you everyone for joining me today, or joining Laura and I today. I will say that I am very appreciative of your time. I'm really very grateful. Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you again to my faithful viewers and my subscribers. And if this is your first time on being on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. And so Laura, so today, and then you can be a part of this conversation by leaving your comments in the comment section below. If you're watching via Zoom, and if you're watching via YouTube, you can leave your comments in the comment section, and Laura would try as much as possible to answer all the questions. We've just had some initial glitches here and there. We're using a different device. You know how this things are, just at the time when you think you're on top of things, it begins to mess up. But anyway, the show must go on, so we wouldn't bother. So the girl, no, that's what I call you, right? So no, so before I even just start, right, with this conversation, I'd like you to please introduce yourself and let the guests introduce yourself to the guests.
Hello, my name is Laura. I am 11 years old. I like
Put your hands down.
I am 11 years old. I like art, reading, and writing.
Okay. So, Laura, we've been talking about, before this time, both of us have had this kind of idea that we wanted to do this particular episode, yeah, and we've talked about it. And so, before we delve into the conversation proper, I'd like you to give me your perspective on the difference between a mom and a dad.
Interesting. Well, the difference between a mom and a dad, I would say, is the things that you choose to tell them.
Okay.
So, for example, I would tell you about certain things that I wouldn't tell dad about, and I would tell dad about certain things that I wouldn't tell you about it. So obviously you would find out, and obviously dad would find out, but it's who I choose to let you guys find out through, and like what reaction I think would be better in a situation that requires you to think more. I would go to dad, but in a situation that requires you to act more, I would go to you. So.
Okay, so in terms of traditionally speaking, so what's the difference between the dad and the mom?
Only thing I think that makes them completely different is gender.
Okay.
And that's about it, because like once you love your kid,
yeah,
you're their parent.
Okay.
So, and it all just depends. It all just depends on the type of relationship that you have with them. Really, nothing separates you. Like, if I told you about my first period because you're the parent I feel comfortable with, other people tell their dads because they're the parent they feel comfortable with. And that's okay, really, because it all depends on the relationship you have. And,
Yeah. I understand what you mean. So in that regard, initially when I was doing the introduction, I said that this series is also, to honor mother fathers. So the universal concept of parenting, then mothers can also step up to play the role of dads. I mean,
Yeah, obviously, because like there's nothing a man could do that a woman couldn't do.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now, no, I want to talk about so dads are the daughter's best friend, and I suppose what does dad being a best friend mean to you?
Well, we have to discuss what a best friend is.
Yeah.
So, like, things that I would want in a friend, in a best friend, would be someone that's loyal, someone that cares about me, someone that has my best interest at heart. And this is the fourth thing, most important thing.
Yeah.
They tell me when I'm off.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, someone isn't really your friend if they don't tell you when you're off. They just let you keep going in that wrong direction.
Okay.
Like, it's not good for you. It's not helping you.
Okay.
So true friends, true best friends will tell you when you're in the wrong direction and point you to the right direction. And that is lovely and a thing to look for in your best friend.
Okay.
And I'd say my dad is like that because, like, if I needed him, he'd be there. If I wanted help with something, he'd help me with it. If I was doing something wrong, or if there was a better way I could be doing something, he'd sit me down and say, hey, maybe you could do it this way instead of this way, because this way would ultimately have a better outcome than this way. And then he'd make me understand his point.
Okay, so so before you talked about how a dad is a best friend, you're angling it from the perspective of who a best friend is first. So you have to outline who a best friend is before you can now like pitch how daddy is your best friend. So in what ways can you give us examples on how dad has been your best friend?
Let's think about this one. Okay, this is a fun story. So one time I was in primary school in Nigeria. Yeah. I think it was like my first day. And I came inside and I was like, Dad, something's wrong, in this exact accent. And then he was like, yo, what's wrong? And I was like, there are boys at school and they're weird. And then his first response was like, maybe they like you. And I was like, Dad, you're wrong. You're wrong. They don't like me. They're just mean. And then Dad was like, okay. Then I gave him a hug and I told him about my day. And then the next day at school, that same boy told me that he liked me. So that was just an interesting experience. And you'll never guess who I told.
Daddy.
Yeah. And he was like, yo, do you want me to go to the school? And I'd be like, no, what? I'm just going to sit down and think about it for a minute and avoid him in school. And then we just had a laugh about it. But that wouldn't have happened if I told you, see? You would have went to his house and burned it.
Laura, what are you trying to do to me?
And you know what? I like that course of action too. Both seem fitting.
So yeah, I would have gone to the house to burn down the house. But Daddy, so
he's committed a casual felony.
So you're saying that Dad and I are different in terms of the way. Yeah. So we were talking about Dad and I's differences. Yeah. So
there's two of them.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how those two teeny differences affect them so much. Okay. See, my mom is more of an actor and my dad is more of a thinker.
Okay.
And two problems arise with those two things. Okay. See, sometimes you think when you're supposed to act, and sometimes you act when you're supposed to think, and they really balance each other out.
Okay.
So yeah, that's nice. And my dad always has well thought out answers, and you always have answers immediately. Because sometimes Dad takes a minute to think about everything before he answers, and that's fine, that's acceptable. But like you just act and tell me exactly what you're feeling, exactly when you're feeling it, which is great. Love your honesty. So.
Okay, Laura, thank you very much for that appraisal. Now, Laura, I want us to look at, because you know that the theme, the major theme of this conversation is about fathers are their daughters' best friends. And so I want us to look at and you know, you did a very, and by the way, before we even just, you know, continue with the conversation, I just want to say that thank you very much, Laura. Laura was the one who made me up today. So Laura, I just want to say thank you. Yeah. So she did all the highlights. What is it called again? The concealer and all the contour and the lipsticks and all that. So Laura,
basically,
thank you, Laura. Thank you very much. I didn't trust that you were going to do that.
She wouldn't be who she is today without me. And that is a very big honor.
Thank you, Laura. So Laura, thanks. So Laura, so now let's go back to the conversation. So you know, like I said, that when we were talking about when I was thinking about this topic, yeah, I was very careful in choosing the words. I was saying I thought very clearly about the father being the daughter's best friend, because I was angling it towards friendship as well as and father as well, and a daughter as well. Now, I want us to look at the emotional aspect, the effect that your dad being your best friend has on your emotions. I want us to look at it, the benefit of having your dad as a best friend emotionally, mentally, and psychologically.
Emotionally, mentally,
and psychologically, what the importance of
that down.
Yeah.
See, one thing they all have in common is they're all going on in your head.
Okay.
So emotionally, I would say it's nice to know that there's someone that'll always be there for me, that'll always support me.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice to know that there's someone that loves me unconditionally and will always try their best to help me. Yeah. That's very nice to know. Psychologically.
Mm-hmm. And do you know what psychological means?
Yes.
Tell me what it means. I will put you on the spot.
Yes. I'm very bad at thinking of definitions. It's like what's going on up here.
Okay. Psychological. Okay.
So it gives me like a sense of reassurance that like, oh, if things go very, very badly, you always have parents that love you and support you and will help you. So like it makes me less scared of failure in general. And now I feel validated and okay. And like I'll get back up if I fall. And that's really nice. Nice feeling.
And what about the mental aspect?
Mentally, my dad is my dad's like my mini therapist, you know.
Okay.
I carry him in my pocket, and
you do?
Yeah, I have. It's like he's like a mini therapist, which I keep in my pocket, and it's like I take him out of my pocket and I talk to him whenever I feel sad or doubt something or just feel bad in general, and he gives me advice and he makes me feel better, and that's nice.
So now the next thing I want to ask you, Laura, is assuming there's a dad that is watching and is wondering, how can I be supportive? How can I be my daughter's best friend?
Okay. It's not like what a lot of people think. It's not like
that you're going to play in the sand and sometimes you do that. Used to play with even your little. Like,
it's not like you buy her a Lamborghini, you give her a bajillion. Yeah, but see, that's not it. It's like it's not you buy. I mean, it could work, but like it's not you buy her a Lamborghini and like you give her a bajillion dollars to start her business, because that's nice. It is nice. But like how to be a supportive father in general, like the essence
of friendship
of being a supportive father is being there for your kid, you know, like supporting them, like helping them, guiding them, talking to them, strategizing with them, understanding them, try to like understand their interests, you know, try to support them, try to help them grow as a person, which is better than a Lamborghini, like $1 bazillion to start your business. It's better than most like material things. I'm not saying that they're not good. God, if you're watching this, I would love a Lamborghini, but like what I want most from you is support. I'm not saying you don't do that. Like it's just a nice thing, you know?
Okay. Laura, there's sometimes when you get into a bad mood, right? And some fathers, um, so how would the father then be able to go into the minds of their daughters to kind of support them when they're in a bad mood, or when they're going through some, according to the way you say it,
Existential crisis. So when you think about that, how do you understand anything?
Yeah.
If you were studying something, if you were doing a project on something, what would you do?
Study, research.
Yeah, study it, research. And you can only get information from the source, you know?
Okay.
So like, you're not going to know anything about your daughter if you don't talk to them.
Okay.
It's like, if you want to understand, then talk to your kid. Okay. You know, spend time with your kids, familiarize, know their interests, know just the little things, like their favorite color, their favorite food, just anything really. Their goals and like aspirations.
Okay.
Like understand your kid better, because like little things that you think you don't matter, things that you think don't matter.
So give an example of the little things that daddy might think that doesn't matter, but matters a lot to you.
Matters a lot.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so something really cool is there's nothing that matters a significant amount to me that my dad doesn't think matters. It's important to me, that he knows about it and he values that it's important to me, and that's really nice.
Okay, so in practical terms, then, because you're the expert, you're the child that knows, that is saying to the father, this is how you're going to be my best friend. So in practical terms, just give us like quick steps on how a father can be his daughter's best friend. Quick tips.
Okay. Be supportive, be consistent, like consistent. Don't just like be there, then not be there, okay, then be there again, then not be there, because that's not consistency.
Yeah.
Like share your thoughts, but listen to her, because that's all people really want, to be heard.
Okay.
And yeah, just love your kid unconditionally, and it should go fine. Life should go fine.
Okay. Well, Laura, I'm really very impressed with your wisdom. And do you think that it's okay for a girl to talk to her daddy about guys? Or do you think that it's old-fashioned? Like when I was growing up, we dare not until much later. Yeah. So you talk about
I talk about a lot with my dad.
Yeah.
One time, okay, this is an issue for the school. I told my dad that there's this rumor going around that a whole year older than me, liked me because I was the new kid. And I was like, oh, no, that's not good. So anyways, what did I do? I told my dad because I was concerned, I was stressed. And it's not like they were, looking at me in the hall. They were talking to me. They're like, yo, we can be friends. So anyways, I talked to my dad about this. And then he was like, oh, interesting. Do you want me to tell the principal? And I was like, no.
Okay.
So like, I don't know, talking to your dad about boys, not something I would advise.
Why?
Why?
But that is a guy, so he should
understand. But then again, like you're his daughter, like not his. Well, yes, you are his friend, but still.
Okay, so certain things should go to.
Yeah, like certain things are for certain parents,
and siblings.
That's more of a mom sibling talk, and something I do to annoy us ass.
Okay,
like not more of a dad thing, because dad is always going to be overprotective. Even when I'm 34 and married with kids, he's going to give my husband a side eye. Like,
no, I don't think.
What are you doing?
I don't think he would.
Like
Very important. Okay, Laura, let me read this. Let me read this question. So, how about a child's changing career aspiration, like wanting to be a doctor today, an artist tomorrow, and a realtor? That sounds like what you do.
That sounds like a conversation I've had with my dad.
Okay, maybe he's the one who's asking the question then.
Well, like, anticipations change as you grow up, you know?
Expectations or
Anticipation, expectations, things you want for yourself. Slowly, as you learn and understand life more and like your brain molds into more of an adult brain, you learn more about yourself and you learn more productive things.
okay.
Like, this doesn't make sense, but you learn like more things about yourself and you learn more about the real world, so much so that like your dreams change.
Okay.
And like your dreams become more practical. I wanted to be a fashion designer since I knew that was a thing. I was like, oh my God, that's a job. I want to do that. So then I realized as I got older that being in the fashion industry isn't always easy.
Okay.
And I want to be in the fashion industry. I'm not saying just because it's not easy, I'm not going to do it, because nothing's fun without a challenge.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you just want something stable. You want to try something new. You want to try something fun. Like you see a medical TV show, you see a medical documentary, and you're like, oh my God, that looks so fun. And then you hear the amount the realtors get paid and how much they actually work, and that sounds so appealing. And obviously, I'm gonna want to talk to my parents. I'm gonna want to talk to my dad about this, and I'm like, yo, input. And then he'd be like, well, you do what you want, you know. If you work hard enough, you can achieve anything. And I'm like, thanks, but like still, you know. I mean, you can't, that's not something you deal with. That's something you watch and look at and let your kid, help your kid make a smart choice.
Okay.
Because like I'm 11, but for some reason my brain tells me that I'm 40 and living in a basement and I need to figure my life out right now. And I don't need to do that. So
fantastic, Laura. Thank you very much for that answer. Now, you know, again, at the beginning of the program, we talked about that this program is about honoring father mothers as well. So, father mothers are mothers that have to step up to the role of playing fathers and being fathers in the lives of their kids or their children. So, what would you say to a mom that has to be both mom and dad?
well, first of all, I would say that you're doing amazing.
Yeah.
And you're amazing. You deserve all the love and support in the world. Because I'm not even a parent. And I know it's hard to be one. Imagine like being both. I know it's difficult to be one. Imagine having to be both.
Yeah.
And having to constantly worry about saying or doing something that'll mess your kid. That's one of my biggest fear. Saying or doing something that will mess someone else's kid up. Like, what if I say, oh, the tooth fairy isn't real? That kid's like, the kid's life is ruined.
Over a tooth fairy.
The kid's life isn't ruined, but like, you get it. Like, I just don't want to do something that'll just, you know, set a child off and like destroy their beliefs. So imagine being a parent and having to worry about that all the time, and yet you still get through it. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's true. And so you know, you and I have this conversation, and I want to answer this question, Laura. What you know, when I was growing up, right, it was very easy to be a child when I was growing up. Your dad told you to do this and you did it. Your dad told you to keep quiet and you kept quiet. Your dad told you to wash the plates and you washed the plates and all that. And I know you watch a lot of Nigerian movies or how to be a Nigerian parent and all that, and you laugh, right? So, and I know that sometimes in your mind, Laura, I know you very well. In your mind, you'll be looking and thinking. So, what do you think? Okay, let me answer this question. So, what do you think about, or rather, how would you think that daddies today should be more up to date about being dads in today's children, with today's children?
Can you repeat that question?
How can daddies upscale to become 21st century dads?
Okay.
So how can dads understand? Because sometimes we feel that, I know that sometimes we feel that we don't understand.
Listen, 2 steps.
Yeah.
Buy an iPhone, download TikTok. Scroll and just keep scrolling and you'll understand.
Today's children.
Yeah. Okay, that's unrealistic. But I mean, if you really want to, that'd work, I suppose. But like, you will not. Like, you can't. Because like, you grew up in a completely different time, and you can't just reset your beliefs to fit today's generation.
So
you can't do that.
How can dads just upgrade? But how can dads try to understand children of nowadays better?
Well, talk to them.
Okay.
Talk to your kid, and you'll understand your kid. If you want to understand an element of science, you research that element of science. Same way. Research your kid, you'll understand your kid. You only understand the things that you want to understand and you try to learn about. So yeah, try to understand your kid.
Okay. Now, my viewers, my special guest Laura Enebi is here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask your questions. And my guest is going to answer your questions. And what again am I going to ask you? So generally speaking now, my love, what do you think one of the challenges of the 21st century child? I mean, like one of the things that let me put it this way. So you used to tell me that I'm old school, right? What are the disconnects now that you feel that parents don't understand this, parents don't understand that, and how can we understand you better?
I grew up.
Yeah.
In an era that you just didn't grow up in.
But I'm living it.
Yeah, but you didn't grow up in that era. So it's gonna be tough for you to understand me. And it's okay because it's gonna be tough for me to understand you. But like, I suppose we don't need to understand each other. We just need to value each other's points of view on certain matters.
Okay. So we don't need to understand each other, and we need to value each other's point of views on certain matters. But I want to say this to you, my love. And in as much as you think that I'm analog, you know what analog is?
I've never said this to your face,
Laura, but I know that you say I'm old school.
I've never said this to you. I have evidence.
Laura, you said that's 70s child. The 70s. You said, Mommy, you're so old.
Mommy, does that sound like something I would say?
Yes, it does, Laura. But the thing is, Laura, the thing is this, right? And this is what I want you to understand, that in as much as you feel that we haven't, like, we're not in your space, that we haven't grown up in your space, structures, life structures don't change, right? The structures, the fundamentals of life don't change. And even if things are fast-paced and you live in the world of TikTok, social media, and all those kind of things, values don't change.
Yeah.
Values, you have to have a foundational truth.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
You're 100% right.
Okay.
But challenges the children face, change.
Ooh, tell me about it.
So, you didn't have to go through the thing that I didn't have to go through, and I didn't have to go through things that you have to go through. Like, we're all having an experience. We're all children once.
Okay.
Well, you were a child once. But challenges change in general, you know?
Okay, like cyberbullying?
Cyberbullying. Yeah, you didn't have cyberbullying.
No.
When you were your age.
No.
And God forbid someone ganged up on you when you were in your school and your class, because the teachers would not let that. Like, you would tell your dad, and your dad would go to their parents and just be done. And like, yeah, that sometimes happens, but like, If someone, has someone in class, like one of your fellow peers, ever been bullying you
Yeah.
and you told your dad?
Yeah.
What followed?
We went to the school and it stopped.
And no one was talking about you. No one was calling you a snitch. Nothing like that.
When I was growing up, no.
No. Yeah.
We
See,
respected-
exactly.
Yeah.
This day and age, yeah.
Yeah.
People don't respect that. You know, like you get in trouble for bullying someone.
Yeah.
You go away all harump. You tell all your friends, and now half the school hates you.
Because you told them.
Yeah.
And then of course there's also the issue of cyberbullying as well.
Cyberbullying is terrible.
Okay.
Terrible. Especially when it can be prevented and it isn't. That's terrible.
Okay.
But when it can't be prevented, it's worse. See? And like, I can't say that I have been, actually I can, but like not properly harassed and cyberbullied. I can't say that's ever happened to me because I follow safety measures, and when I'm on the internet, I'm safe and all my accounts are private and I only accept people that I know in real life. So I can't say that I've ever been harassed, cyberbullied, but I can say that people have been mean to me on the internet, and someone has said something very rude to me in a group chat and no one else did anything, and that isn't nice. Did that ever happen to you when you were my age?
In my age, when I was growing up, sometimes people gang up against you and tell lies about you. But then I think that you people's playground is definitely different from our playground.
Yeah.
In a way that it impacts you differently. I want to see what somebody. So feel free to leave your comments, and yeah, and Laura would be able to answer them. Now, Laura, I want to read something. Thank you very much, Internet. What is this thing say? So let me read this comment. Somebody said this. Somebody said, "Oh, Laura, clap, clap, clap. I'm amazed at your wisdom."
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you very much. Yes. So we have some likes. So there's something that you said that really
Resonated with you?
resonated with me, and that was I think yesterday was having this conversation with you, and you told me that when I asked you about dad being your best friend, you know, you of course you accepted that dad is a best friend, but you said to me that sometimes dad can't be your best friend all the time because why?
Well.
You talked about.
I would say, I'm
Yeah.
going to use a metaphor for this one.
Yeah.
When you're making a cake, what's a very important component of a cake?
There's flour.
That's something important that you put in a cake. Perfect.
That's what those.
But can you put flour in an oven and poof, it's a cake?
No.
See, no. My dad's very, very important in my life.
Yeah.
Very important. But I need other things also. Like my siblings. I wouldn't be the person I am without my siblings. I wouldn't be the person I am without you. I wouldn't be the person I am without my friends, good teachers, my cousins, my aunties, my uncles, me, you know? My dad, one of the most important ingredients, but not the only ingredient. Because, like, in truth, the cake won't bake with only flour.
Okay. So the next question then, Laura, is assuming there is somebody who is listening to you today, a friend or a young person who's listening to you today, and the person says, "Oh, she has a dad and I don't have a dad." What would you say to that person in terms of encouraging the person?
Well, I would say this is if the person didn't have a dad. You don't really need two parents. You just need one parent that loves you unconditionally. You know,
Okay.
whether it's a dad or a mom, you just need a loving parent.
Okay.
But if you can get both, that's great. Good on you.
Yeah.
The most important thing about any parent is unconditional love.
Unconditional love. And oh yeah, so I have, yeah, so somebody says good, thank you. And feel free to leave your comments. We'd like to hear from you. If we'd like to hear some of the highlights of the things that you found very interesting and instructive. Yeah, so And so you just said that, that you just said to a child who's listening that um, it doesn't matter if he has just a mom or a dad, that all you need is a parent that is what?
That loves you unconditionally.
That
and
loves
is
you.
always there.
Yeah, that loves you unconditionally and it's always there for you. Fantastic. Laura, I learned a lot from you.
I learned a lot from me too.
That's not humble. You have to say, yes, mommy, thank you.
Oh, yes, mommy, thank you.
Very good. So, guys, what else am I going to say? So, Laura, any last words?
Any last words?
Yeah.
Thank you to all the fathers out there for being great and amazing and loving and kind. And we love you. And we appreciate you. And we care about you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in. My special guest today was Laura Enebi, and she's shared insight into her thoughts on how a father can be a girl's best friend. She's touched on the importance of the father's friendship in the life of his daughter, emotionally, mentally, and psychologically. She's spoken to children who do not have, that don't have daddies, and she's encouraged, them. She's talked about also what and she's also talked about so many things though, and yeah, so somebody says thank you, they're very proud of you. And just want to say, so this is the concluding part of the honor father mother series. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. It's Ibi Enebi. And next time I will be starting another exciting series, and I would like to see you then. In the meantime, I'd like you to like and share this video so that you can also encourage my channel to grow. So, Laura, bye, everybody. Laura, it's a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you.
And